just vocally I suck. But anyway, we
Yeah.
are live, so we thought it would be a special treat to save like all that like throat clearing, whatever vocal stuff for the show. So you get a nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good to go.
Not that we ever have anybody, because I'm also one of those people that am bad about like a lot of the other Twitch shows, like streams and stuff. People will be like for the hour leading up, like, "Oh, we're getting ready to go live. Come join us." So that there's already people in the channel when it starts, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's
I'm the
like a
complete
fucking
opposite. We're like,
concert.
yeah, we're 20 minutes into the show, and I'm like, oh, I should probably say something on Twitter about us doing the show.
Yeah.
That's what sets us apart from everybody else. Is we're
To be
terrible.
fair, like it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy because like I'll remember, but then I don't want people to show up because I know what you fucking monsters do in the chat, and it's
I know.
just these two are fucking hideous and boring, and it's like, why would I subject myself to that?
Well,
Huh?
and the best part is they say that stuff like they're trying to troll, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of correct. So like, I don't have anything to say back to that, but like, thanks for observing us. But the Njoystic Human Zoo. That's what we should have called the podcast.
No, sorry, I'm distracted here. I have to sit through the fucking Twitch ads
So
to
you
make
can
sure
make
our
sure that
audio is
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I have never understood is how these professional channels, because it's like, oh, well, do test stream beforehand to like make sure all this, your audio and your video and everything is working. And it's like, yeah, but you can't go live on Twitch without it like broadcasting that you're live on Twitch. So
Yeah,
like,
I can't even check my own stream.
like that would be a very cool feature for Twitch, is to be able to do a private broadcast that's not like whatever. So you so you could do those kind of tech tests, but I do like watching your face because I know how difficult it is to listen to something live and also try to listen to the stream, which is like 30 seconds to a minute behind.
Right. All right. It sounded okay from what I could gather.
Cool. It wasn't terrible last week. It's just
I
my levels
got
were
it.
noticeably lower than yours, which is
Yeah.
fine because if you can only hear one of the two of us, you're probably the more interesting one to listen to.
I like to think so.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I actually listened to that show and I got like that flashback to like when we first started out and like you heard your voice kind of for the first time recorded and you just fucking cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like that trauma again of like, man, I should never be near a fucking microphone.
No, we're like 4 or 5 years in, and neither of us have really developed like a on-air voice.
No, I never intended to. It's just my natural voice is goddamn fucking horrific. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I became this person.
And neither of us are blessed to have like a weird, but like, hey, that gives that guy some character. But like every now and then you'll hear a radio show or podcast or something that's got a guy that's got like the weirdest voice, but it just works. And like,
Yeah.
I was gonna try to do one, but another thing we've established over the years is that I am terrible at fake voices.
Like there's like a distinctive there are distinctive voices in the world, and like you would be able to like tell my voice out of a lineup of voices, but it wouldn't be in a good way. It'd be like, why does he sound like his like vocal cords are constantly dying on him? And
yeah. So
for someone who talks as much as I do, like my body completely rejects the practice.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna be upfront and say I haven't played much of shit. That's like interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I saw you playing some more Hitman, which surprised me. Was that just the Halloween content or Halloween?
The Christmas
That's what
update. Yeah.
month we're in, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah,
Christmas.
I streamed that last night. I only saved about 18 minutes of it because that's all that was like productive. I killed somebody with a rubber duck, and that's that is what will exist up on YouTube. And but then it ended really quick, and I was kind of disappointed. I mean, it's a free update, but just when you tell me like you're gonna kill the robbers from Home Alone, and then they don't even like remotely look like the robbers from Home Alone. They're just named Harry and Marv. And then like it's really easy to kill them. Like it was kind of disappointing. And then like there's the whole element of Santa on the map, and you hear throughout the map you'll hear like a jingling and like sort of distant, almost like Lovecraftian ho ho ho, like some sort of interdimensional horror is about to come upon you. But like I couldn't figure it out the whole, like I streamed for like another 40 minutes trying to find Santa and kill the fuckers as Santa, but I could never figure out how it works. And it's not like the other missions and maps where like it's giving you a path to follow, you know, out of like you overhear a conversation or anything. Fucking nothing happens. It's just Paris with, you know, Christmas decorations, and you're kind of left to your own devices. And that sucks when I realized that, like, Santa is not in it. Like, I looked it up after I was done streaming last night. Like, he's not in a particular area. He's constantly, like, teleporting around the map. And you just kind of have to, like, get to a place where you hear him, and then you have to wait for him to magically appear. And that goes against pretty much everything that like Hitman trains you to do. Like that whole game is about like hunting down people and tracking them. Like there's never a point where you kind of just stand still to find somebody. You stand still for like a plot to sort of develop, to like lay a trap, but you don't really stand still when you're trying to find information. And the game never gives you the information. So it's like the best thing about this update would be dressing up as Santa and fucking killing people in the name of Christmas. And it's really like it's not obvious how to do that. So I was kind of disappointed, but once again, free update. Now I know how it works, so I'll probably go back and do what I need to do for fucking shits and giggles. But yeah.
And the thing with Hitman is it's the kind of game that probably would let you find a place to go literally have shits and giggles. But, like, that's one of your undercover things. It's like...
Yeah, shits and giggles.
They still have that, like, excuse me, blend-in mechanic, don't they? Like, where you can... I thought I saw you go to, like, a counter and, like, stand there like you're a customer or something, and it, like, helps you blend in.
Yeah, if you're in a certain costume, there are... not props, you know, because you are in, as far as the game's concerned, you are in a real world. But like you interact with things a certain way. So one of the people I killed in the Japan map, I did it disguised as a sushi chef, and you have to like get behind the counter and you have to stand there and prepare the sushi, and then your target comes up and you offer them, you know, the poisonous fucking blowfish. Yeah. And that was a fun.
Do you get to give like the Homer Simpson line too, like the "It's my first day" and everybody just goes, "Oh ha ha ha, it's okay then."
No, it's you know, it's Agent 47, so he's like, he's just like, I think you should live dangerously. Eat this, and the fucking moron did.
Well, in his defense, if a chef offers me something, you assume they're like, "This guy's a chef."
Yeah, he's a bald guy, white coat, and he's got to be a chef. So I played some of that. I played Saints Row the Third a little bit, just, you know, in my free time.
Yeah, didn't you say that that's like your first like exposure to the Saints Row franchise?
Pretty much, on my own. I played, I played 2 a little bit. Like this, but 3 seems a lot tighter in terms of like the shooting and all the shit you do, and like you can tell that's when the series like all right, let's just go fucking crazy with this, because no other series is going to do it. So yeah, you know what, the time I put into it, which admittedly isn't that much, but I've enjoyed it because it's, you know, it's very simple, but it's, you know, very accessible for a game that like pretty much in no time at all gives you the option to get on a rocket broomstick and fly around the city. Like everything's very approachable. Um, so that game's pretty cool. I'm a million years late to that bandwagon.
Yeah, just a
Um,
little.
but it's
Four is out, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
that came out a long time ago. That came out I think just before all like the THQ auctions and shit.
right, right.
Um, but and then I have that too because they were like $4 on the last Steam sale, and like I think for the third you got it was like under $4 with all the DLC. Um, so I have the fourth one. So once I'm done with the third, I'll probably jump to four where they give you superpowers, which is the logical next step, and that'll be it for Saints Row, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much like describes the whole. It, it's such a weird franchise to me because they're good games and they're funny games. Like, I think that they can skirt the line of being like we talked about with Bulletstorm last week, where I feel like it's just like juvenile, like fart jokes. Which, don't get me wrong, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I have no problems with fart jokes. But if that's
Some
all
would say
something
that's our
is,
identity.
right? But no, what I played, I really liked, but it really takes like I think a combination of the game being great and me just happening to be in the right mood for like those open world, like the GTA, Saints Row,
Yeah.
probably even Just Cause, those kind of games. Most of the time, I play them in like an hour or two in. You're like, okay, I'm bored now.
Yeah, and I mean it's really come about as of like I don't have really anything to do now. I finished up Hitman, which was my main goal. So now I'm prepared for whatever the hell game of the year shit we do. If we do anything, I don't know. We haven't talked about it yet. Um, I finished my NBA 2K season. Finally, won a championship,
You
and
still
then
got no
nobody wanted to
love, yeah.
fucking pay me.
Well, you're a white
Like,
dude in the NBA. That doesn't command a whole lot of
even if
dollars.
you're the
Yeah,
MVP, right?
right.
Um, jeez, I'm really gonna complain about reverse racism.
Oh no, no. The thing is, I think
No,
that's
I'm not
completely
saying. I'm
justified.
saying. I'm
Like,
saying
yeah,
my
yeah,
character complaining about reverse racism is hilarious because he's a fucking clown, and he like I wouldn't want to play with him either.
right.
Uh, but yeah, but that mode is pretty good. But I'm kind of relieved that like, all right, I got what I set out to do. I'm gonna put that on the shelf, and I'll probably go back and play it again someday. But I got what I wanted out of NBA 2K, and I don't need another basketball game probably for a few years.
I'm still waiting. I really love I say recent trend. It's recent in like the last 10 years, but the almost RPG aspects of sports games with the like create a character and the career modes and stuff.
Yeah,
But I still feel, and I think when you said that, that's what made me really think about it. The last few that I played, like, there's still like this divide between, like, you have your career, but it still like has a certain path that they want it to go. So you
yeah,
can play and be really terrible, and you're not going to get a huge contract. But like you said, you could play and all of a sudden be the MVP of the championship team, and they're like, but you're still only on year two, so you're still only. It's like, but that's not. It doesn't feel quite organic enough to me yet.
yeah. It doesn't feel that way. Like if you go on to have an MVP season and you win the finals, like, and I was on the last year of my deal with the Bulls. You would think like teams all over would line up to pay me, or be interested or something. Like there would be some sort of dynamic like that. And the game spit out the same five teams that like when I first had a contract deal. It was like the fucking Bulls, Knicks, Nuggets. Like it's the same fucking shitty choices. Sorry if you like those teams, but it's the same shitty choices I had before. And I'm just like, really? Like, no, like, there's no team that like wants to pay up for me.
Right. And especially
It-
like early on in your career when you presumably have a shitload of good years ahead of you. But
right.
Yeah, I guess the other example I can think of is probably the last EA sports game that I really played a lot of was one of the NHL, probably 12. Um, might have been 13, but I think it was 12 NHL. Where, of course, you start out as a rookie on your team, and you're on the like the fifth line or whatever. Uh, and it took some time to learn, but then I'd have games where I'd have like 3 goals a game, like 6 games in a row, and they still won't move you up to a better line. And it's like, well, I get like, oh, I'm Mr. Rookie, but all of a sudden I've scored 98% of your goals over the last like month of the season. You'd think you would maybe
Yeah,
try me at least in like the second line, but they act like, oh, you're still the unknown rookie. It's like, yeah, but look,
yeah. They did that to me a lot too, where it's like, I clearly earned the starter point guard job, but they kept me like coming off the bench for like, you know, the entire regular season and then changed it conveniently right for the playoffs. So like I had no idea. Like you get, even if you're playing with like bench players or something in a game like that, you get comfortable with the AI of those teammates. And it is kind of accurate to like you develop a chemistry with who you're always playing with, and then like the coach would just make these random ass decisions on the fly, like, all right, now we're going to bring you up, and you're gonna have to like get accustomed to a whole new fucking team dynamic. And it's like you couldn't have fucking done that before the games really mattered. Like you couldn't. I don't know. Like the decision making in that game is one of the more baffling parts about it. Where it's like there would be lineups where we would score, you know, 30 a game with that lineup, and the coach would just not fucking go with it.
yeah,
Like it's clearly the superior lineup. It's the one we should start with, and he wouldn't do it. And it's like if maybe they didn't spend so much time in this game letting Spike Lee fucking spew his diarrhea that he called a fucking story mode all over it. Maybe they could have just fleshed this shit out and made it like actually an engaging career mode.
yeah. Well, and that's what's interesting because every year they focus on the like on court AI and that kind of stuff. It's like, well, what about the like managerial? Like, I know they have gone a long, long way as far as the like between season drafting and trades and stuff, but it's still obviously like you were talking about your MVP of the league and nobody wants to even float you an offer. So it's still not there, but it seems like they spend way more time like on the little like shoe aglet, the little thing on the end of your lace, like physics, than they do on AI that makes sense off the field or court or whatever.
Yeah, just like, because I mean, particularly with this game, and maybe this last one they put out is better because I am a year behind, but like the Spike Lee shit is so baffling when you consider like how much time they spent on a bad story instead of just like fleshing this out and making it, a more realistic career simulator. Because the gameplay is already pretty. It leans more towards sim now than it used to be more arcadey. So why like it's weird. It's just such a mixed bag. And I mean, obviously, I put fucking constant hours into this career mode, but I can't tell you like any other part of the game I like. I like the idea enough of like I can put my avatar into the NBA and see how far I can go.
Yep. Do you do the face scan? You probably don't have. Oh, do you have a camera for your PS4?
No.
No. Yeah.
If I get one, it'll probably be for VR, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be on that
You don't seem like to be
bandwagon.
the first in line for that. No. But
Well, it is out, I think.
well,
so.
yeah. But I mean, so
But
obviously you're not the
it's
first in line 'cause you don't
unavailable.
have it.
It's out like Nintendo shit comes out.
Really, I didn't know that. I didn't realize it was hard to get.
I mean, especially right now around the holidays. I mean, good fucking luck. But
Well, that's good though. That means people want it, and it's or they're just like they produce like
I
6 of them.
yeah, that's what it seems more like. The cost I imagine to fucking make VR shit is probably horrendous.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
and it's funny because recently I was talking about more and more of the press releases I again, I want to drop that in there like we're cool, like we're games journalists, and we get my press releases are basically like mass like ads that are just floated out to anybody. But anyway, more and more of them are about VR games, and some of them sound like really cool things like, oh, I'd want to check that out, but more of a like, I'm curious, like that sounds neat, I want to check it out, not like I would buy that in an instant. So
Yeah.
I've still yet to see a lot of things that would, if I was, well, I say if I was a consumer, we are a consumer because we don't get this stuff for free.
No.
But as a consumer, I still haven't seen like too many of those things that make me want to run out and like spend, what is it, $400 or $500 for the unit?
Well, here's the fun thing. I'm looking at it right now, and to like get, a bundle that will have like everything you need. Like it's kind of like the 3DS they were just selling on Black Friday. Like it looks like they're all in the hands of fucking scalpers and shit, where it's like you got to pay like $1,000 to $2,000 to get a fucking thing that will be available in a few more months. I mean,
it's funny
to just
too.
get like a headset right now, sellers are starting at like $680,
Yeah.
and that's you need a camera for it. Some games you'll need the goddamn Move controller and stuff. Like this was the shit I was really kind of worried about with VR and particularly with Sony, like, because you're like Sony's equipment is not on the same level as the Oculus, from what I understand. It is a bit more limited because it's not attached to some fucking juggernaut PC. It's attached to a minor little PS4, and so like you have to make that accessible. Like you have to make your add-ons to your consoles accessible, and I was especially thinking about this in regards to like the last few Resident Evil 7 demos I've seen. Like that game looks like it would be awesome in VR. Like the level of detail they're putting into it. Some of the trailers they shown specifically for the VR version, like, that would be like, it looks like that game's hitting a lot of right notes for people, and VR is like, they're taking that really seriously. But like, are you going to pay $500 for that game in VR?
Right.
No. Like, so you have to spend basically the price of an entire other console to make sure you're equipped for it. And then you got to hope that like someday the games will fucking line up. And it's like, there's no guarantee of that. The only game I can say I'm interested in is Resident Evil. And I don't even know what else is down the fucking pipeline.
And that's the thing. Like I said, there's a lot of little like experimental or more indie type VR games. Although a lot of that is because they got some initial funding from like Sony in the case of the PlayStation VR, and a lot of these VR company, Oculus and stuff, have pumped some money into these indie developers because they know they need games. But I keep seeing more and more developers talking about the cost for developing these VR games and how it sounds like that's not going to sustain itself, especially once Sony and Oculus, they're not going to continue to pay people to develop for them. They're
right.
Yeah, their goal is to just get that initial stable of games that makes people want to buy the hardware.
Yeah, like a lot of the games we're seeing right now are either sponsored by whatever VR hardware they're attached to, or they are labors of love from small studios who can afford it.
Right.
Like they're not like if there's any teams out there who are like seriously thinking like this is a smart business move, I'm very concerned for them and their future. Like this can only, like where the technology is right now, where it is commercially, this can only be something, one, that you can afford to do, two, that you really want to do. Because if you think this is going to like be a commercial success, like this technology needs a lot of time, and there's really no guarantee with it.
But like I said, that said, there's a million things. Like if I had an Oculus, like almost every one of these things that comes across my my inbox, I'm like, oh, I would check that out. It's just, it's weird. They need to flip it because it's none of it makes me want to buy one, but if I had one, I'd want to check it out. And that's not where they need to
Yeah.
be right now.
But that, that is always the initial appeal of new technologies when it comes to games. It's like, yeah, I would try it. Of course, I would try it, but what are you going to do to make me say I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars for it?
Right. So basically, our point is, if anybody at Sony or Oculus, or I guess
wants to send us free shit,
go for it. Just keep in mind, if you send me an Oculus, I need a new video card too. So if you could pack that in, that'd be great.
Yeah. But make sure we're prepared.
That's your job, not ours.
Right.
As two no-name.
Look, if you want us to cover it, it's your only option. We're gonna need. I also need a new car, because I'm gonna have to go get groceries. Yeah. So, if you could do that.
Now you're giving me flashbacks to when I was in college and we had to carry our groceries like 10 blocks from the store to the dorm.
I have to do that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like, I don't drive, and right now we have snow and it's fucking 6 degrees. And
we got snow too after, not really making fun of you, but being like, oh man, that sucks. You guys are getting snow. That same day we got, not a ton. It's like between 2 and 4 inches, but it's our first real, like, it snowed a week or so ago, but like nothing stuck. It was just like, oh, look, it's snowing. That sucks. Now I'm reminded why specifically I hate snow, and it's got to be 1,000 times worse for you, is it's like not only is it cold and shitty to deal with, but you can't go anywhere without being like every single step you take, like I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Because it's just slush and ice and shit. Oh.
I mean, I bundle up pretty well, so I'm not, I don't get that freaked out about the cold, but
no, it's less the cold. It's like every step you can't tell if like, am I stepping on ground or a slick sheet of death?
Yeah, it's right now it's the fucking ice.
Right.
That's really, and even like, because we have that layer of snow, like right now it's just crunchy snow. There's not too many little fucking death traps, except right on my porch where the fucking, like, our gutter system is so fucked that like it's just constantly dripping. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I break up the ice in the morning and I'm like, okay, well, that's broken up. I put some fucking de-icer and shit out there just to, be safe. And then I come back out, it's just a sheet of that like slick black, like you can't even fucking break it.
Yeah. Because it's a bitch. Everything conspires against you there because you put the de-icer down, but when you have like your gutters and stuff leaking like that, as ours do it too, a number of things happen. One, the only snow that really melts is what's up on your roof and is getting the sunlight, or at least the initial like exposure to the air and the heat and whatever. So it melts and continues to drip. Because it's water, it then washes away all the fucking de-icer that you put down.
Right.
And then once that's washed away, it's just like, hey, here's some water on the cold ground now, which is usually in shadow because the sun's only out for an hour and a half during the winter.
I come out and there's just a giant circle where like de-icer used to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what the fuck happened?
I hate it.
Like, so last night around this time, I was on my hands and knees chipping away at that shit with a screwdriver because I didn't want my mom to come home and fucking break her old ass hip. Because she's old, and I always make sure to let her know that. If you have an old mom, let her know she's old. It's important. I'm a dick to my mom. But that's how I phrased it to her. Like, I did that to protect you because you're old. But
so now that you said that, you'll be the one that dies from like slipping on the ice and hitting.
Yeah, I'll be confident. Like, be careful. Like,
I'm young. What do I need to be careful for? Slip.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I know. I hate winter. It's not like I forget that I hate winter in the summer, but I always forget the specifics of why I hate winter until it's here, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's because everything is such a bitch. Like everything.
I hate winter, but I love, especially after my, incident with fleas a few weeks back, I love what winter does. I love what winter keeps out of certain areas. Because when it's winter, man, fleas don't have a fucking shot.
Nope.
It's so dry, it's so cold, they're fucked.
And regular viewers, like we have them, would know I've got issues with mosquitoes. They home in on me when the Zika was coming. They're like, oh, it's in Florida, and it's like, well, we're in Ohio. It's like, no, I need to worry about it because those fucking mosquito bastards would fly from Florida to Ohio just to bite me. But I don't have to worry. But so I do. There are a few little minor aspects that I like, and I appreciate that we need winter, even in the summer. Like it transfers over, and that was part of the problem this summer. Is last winter was extremely mild here in Central Ohio, so it didn't kill off all the bugs and stuff. But yeah, I still hate it. I'm gonna bitch for the next.
I still hate it, but I mean, like, I was born in Southern California, and like the shit that I like Southern California, but the shit that lives down there, the fucking black widows and shit, which we have in Washington too, but man, when it's cold, it fucking it
they
is
at
a
least go into hibernation, so it's not like
You know, you get downtime when you're in Southern California. There's no fucking downtime from the shit that wants to bite you and fuck you up.
That is one of the really cool things about Ohio. Like anybody that's grown up in Central Ohio, I guess I can't say anybody. Most people that grow up in Central Ohio, at some point in your life, you're like, man, Ohio sucks. There's nothing here. This place is such like a hick town. Whatever. I need to get out, like California, L.A. or New York or whatever. Or down to Florida. And then you realize what we get in return for living in such a bland area is that there is like nothing here that could hurt you. Like there's a few like water moccasins or cottonmouth, like poisonous snakes. They're extremely rare. You've got the brown recluse spiders, which are kind of like, them. Yeah, they're terrible and they can be bad. But my understanding of them is that they're kind of like tarantulas, where if they bite you, it's like you might lose your entire arm, but most people aren't really allergic to the venom, so it's okay.
Most tarantulas won't even like do that, though. Like brown recluses, like a tarantula wants to leave you the fuck alone. Well, a tarantula wants to be in their own fucking environment.
They're like brown recluse, like nomadic spiders. Tarantulas are.
A brown recluse thinks they want that, but that environment is your pants. And like that's
what sucks about them. They're like, well, you know, there's not that many of them, and they're shy. They don't like come out and come after you. But what they like are like damp, cardboardy areas, like or like your shoes or gloves or pants, and you're like, well, fuck, now I'm afraid to get dressed.
Yeah, all the fucking places that, like, that's where people get bite. That's why I'm afraid of them, you know?
But other than that, like, we don't have bears. There's a few, like, bobcats down in southern Ohio. You can get a black bear down in southern Ohio, but they're still rare. I mean, I can go walk through the woods for days and not really have to worry. Like, the biggest worry is feral dogs, like a starving dog.
You should worry about bears at all times. You know, I worry about bears. I'm sitting here. I'm on a second level of a house, and I'm still worried a bear will break down the fucking door.
Most people underestimate the amount of bears that are dressed up as humans, like in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
it is a real problem.
Yeah. Why do you think counters, like shop counters, started carrying guns behind the table? They were afraid of robberies.
No,
like
that doesn't happen.
Like they're not going to put their life on the line over a robbery. They're going to pull the gun when that fucker reveals I didn't just want Cheetos and it was a fucking grizzly.
Well, that's why I'm terrified to go to the store and only buy salmon, because that such a risk of being misidentified as a bear in disguise.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that classic Ohio one shot, no questions law.
That would fit up here. That's right in line with our political views. Ohio, there's a lot of things I love about Ohio, but politically, it's one of those states where they'll, like, make an announcement like, gay marriage is legal. And you're like, all right, Ohio, you're making steps. And they're like, but if you're gay, we're going to shoot you on sight. It's like, wait.
Gay marriage is legal, and so is spawn camping outside the church.
Right. So it's like every time I feel like we've taken a step forward and we're joining the progressive states, then they take like 1,000 steps back. In fact, I forget what I remember what the one was you were involved in too. I was making fun of Texas for something that they were passing. That's a very obvious anti-abortion law, um, but it was really just meant as a joke. But then, as soon as I get done making fun of Texas for being like, "Oh, look how Texas is so Texasy and they're so backwards still," Ohio turned around and did something that you're just like, "Son of a bitch."
God damn it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, luckily, you always know where kind of Washington stands on shit, so I never.
Well, now you guys passed pot, so now you don't stand anyway. You're just all. I picture you all just
We're
sitting
all,
around
yeah.
like, whatever.
Blaze it. Yeah. Um, no, I honestly, I hate the fucking like I don't think it should be illegal, but I'm very annoyed with pot culture
Yeah,
in Washington now because it's not that it's a bad thing or like
but
even
they're
a
just
harmful
fucking
thing.
obnoxious. They're
It's
annoying.
just fucking annoying. It's like
Right.
anything else. Like it's like fucking people who like identify like they see themselves as like part of the vape community. It's like,
Which is
why
the
is that your fucking
funniest.
identity?
Yeah.
Like that's just how you
Well,
smoke. Yeah.
exactly, and that's what I was about to say. It's like it's funny how pot people and vape people are be like you said, 420 blaze it, like vape life, man. It's like I love drinking, I love bourbon, but I'm not going around like drunk life, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
bourbon full life. Like
Like
that's
and
not
that's
my identity. It's something I enjoy to do, but it doesn't become my entire
yeah, it's weird to
person.
me that like that if that's your subculture, you're a fucking degenerate who should be behind bars. But all these other vices, it's fine. But like I can't be like, yeah, let's get fucking crunk at it's 3 a.m. Let's open a bottle of vodka. Like people, like that only works in certain like party social situations.
Yeah,
But if
like
you're just
we need to come up with a time like the 420 thing, like 420 blaze it, and be like 3:15, drink up,
flask hour,
flask.
but
Uh,
I don't know.
so none
We're
of this
doing
is
this.
like,
We're doing this on the internet. We should probably not talk shit about like
well, I already
apparently the two most popular things on
things.
the
Yeah,
internet. I
I
don't
drove
know
off
why.
our one viewer we had. He was pissed because we wouldn't interrupt what we were already talking about to like acknowledge every little like whim. See, this
Uh,
is why we suck, is because I'm sitting here like I'll berate you if you come into the chat. Like, it's like he was like,
and
"Why
I
don't you
don't
take
pay
viewer
attention.
suggestions?" I'm like, "Cause we're in the middle of something else, dude."
What suggestion? What
He
the
asked a
fuck?
question about like, well, first he basically copied and pasted a Wikipedia page on some game I've never heard of, Taz the Tasmanian Tiger or something,
Oh,
which
that's a
is
troll.
now on Steam. Yeah, yeah, that's why we don't. That's
Yeah,
to
that's
answer his
why.
question now that he's left. That's why we don't stop in the middle of a conversation to respond to every single chat comment. Is because you're all trolls and you're all dicks. But
You're horrible.
anyway, I thought I'd bring it up now that he's gone. I'll make fun of him. Um, but he's still our only viewer this week so far. So
So thanks for stopping by, you fucking annoying dick. Uh,
I have been playing stuff. Actually, really one thing, but it was something I really never expected to play. Uh, Telltale sent over a code for Batman, the first season, and I'm gonna say that like they sent it to me personally, like, "Hey, Steve, we really want you to check this game out." It was a huge mass media blast. I saw like 400 people I follow on Twitter, like
hey
giving
guys,
away
we really
the
want
codes. Right.
Steve
Basically,
to
the
check
game
this out.
has failed, even by Telltale like serious stand. And I say that like I'm being mean to Tell. We talked about Telltale last week. They're their own thing. But Batman, out of all the different properties that they've had, really did not get received well. And the bigger thing is episode 5 came out yesterday, the final of season 1. So that's what they were sending it out for. But it's one of those that we've talked about, and I was like, I'm interested in it because initially they talked about how it's more about being Bruce Wayne. You know, you're Batman, and it's probably about 50-50. But
Mhm.
it kind of shows you that side about having to also deal with being Bruce Wayne. And I'm like, that
Which I
sounds
don't care about.
well. That's the problem. It's like it's interesting, But it's also like every segment where it's like, Bruce, you have to go to this social event. You're like, God damn it, I just want to beat people up.
Even like Nolan knew like you can't do that because he all the fucking Bruce Wayne parts of those Batman movies he just replaced with Michael Caine giving you a lecture. Uh,
And that's a and from a story standpoint, I will say I'm not a huge comic book guy, so it's not like I've followed every Batman universe that's ever been written. The angle that they've gone with this is interesting. I have to keep this extremely vague because I don't want to spoil it. But it's a direction that they're going with it that I have not seen before. I don't know if it's from comic books or if it's original to the series, but it's not something I had personally seen before. So that's interesting. And the game itself isn't bad from the story perspective. I am not automatically like allergic to QuickTime events. And when you're Batman, there's two things that you're doing. One is QuickTime event beating the shit out of bad guys, and that's fucking awesome. I love it because I get to be Batman. And then the other is you're like investigating crime scenes where you're walking around awkwardly because it's a Telltale game, and then moving separately a cursor just to go over things that are already highlighted and clicking, look at this item.
yeah.
And that is just fucking monotonous, and I don't like it at
And
all.
and it's played out.
Yeah.
Like and we were just talking about this on the show. Like Telltale has not in my mind they have not fulfilled the promise of sort of this adventure game model they set up. They haven't pushed it. They've only slapped it on different brands.
Well,
And
they'll do things like at one point you walk into a warehouse, and I mean this is a brutal, dark version of Batman. So like you walk into this warehouse, and there's literally like a pile of guts laying on the floor. Then somebody like a body over here and body over there, and it's like, oh, you have to piece together what happened. And one of the mechanics is like, here's like different things of evidence, like the pile of guts is one, and it's highlighted, so it's not like you have to search for it. But it's like you have to link the guts to the explosive like outline from where something blew up. So that way you're piecing together, well, something exploded and his guts flew out. But it's all so fucking obvious that it's more them trying to remind you that you're playing a game instead of watching a movie. Like, we just need to give you something to do with the gamepad so that you remember this as a video game. And I hate that. It just feels so slow and awkward. In a narrative-driven game, you're purposely like stopping and making me do busy work just to be like, hey, look, a video game. So I hate those parts. But for the most part, even all of that put together would be an enjoyable experience, but the game itself is such a technological mess. I mean, it's a shit show. It's an old engine. I think they're still working on like basically the original Walking Dead series engine, and it runs like shit. Anytime there's a dialogue that branches because of an option you picked, it'll be like, "Oh right, Bruce, I'm glad you came to this event because you drove the red car last week." Like it pauses and stutters, and then obviously like skips. It's not seamless at all. It makes it way too obvious. Like it's just like I called it on Twitter like a Mad Lib version of a video game. Like because you get all these statements that are obviously just like, "Hey, it's Monday and I am mad at you." Like they're just filling in a blank to match whatever you picked. But on top of that, the game just freezes and stutters all the fucking time. I posted a short clip, which I'll try to play in the background here in a second, where it'll do things like, in a very, like, what's supposed to be a relatively emotional, like, deep, it was at the end of one of the episodes, but a cut scene between you and Commissioner Gordon. All of a sudden, Batman's head, well, you were Bruce Wayne, but his head just started, like, twisting like 360 degrees and like twitching and like obviously it was glitched, but I played through that scene twice just because of how the save state works, and it did it both times, so it wasn't a fluke. It's just like this one particular scene just doesn't fucking work. So Batman's walking around with his like head on backwards. It is just a mess. And I know that when it initially, when episode 1 came out, that was the big critique, is that it just doesn't work very well. But it's to the point that in I don't want to say in its defense. The problem is when you have a 100% narrative-driven game like Telltale's games are, these things just have to work because
Yeah.
every time they don't, it's a huge detraction from the story.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, you, when you think how frustrated the public is about like games that like you almost can't control, like Bethesda games, where it's like, of course they're going to be fucking broken. Like the patience is already gotten thin on those. So something that is like all story and all presentation, like that shit has to go smoothly. And like the fact that apparently it's not a smooth operation, like to me is baffling and kind of inexcusable. Um,
I mean,
you would think for like a game that's like you said seems to be running on the same engine they've been working with forever, you think they would iron that shit out.
and this is on a PC that can run Doom at the highest settings. So, not that I have like the top of the line, like I just put this thing together, but it's not a hardware like, oh, I just, it's above my specs issue. That's not it at all. Um, I don't know. It's frustrating. There was one point where something came up and it's like, you need to visit, I'll say Commissioner Gordon. It wasn't, but it's like, you need to go talk to him, but you can either do it as Bruce Wayne or Batman. And it took it like 3 minutes to load they have like a little vignette like of you in Batman's costume or you in Bruce Wayne's, and it's animated, and it would look really swank if it worked, but it froze and took like 3 minutes to fucking load. And it's like, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, from a story perspective, it's pretty good. It's not the best, but I could almost like recommend it. And again, I get a little like gun shy because I am not a superhero person. I'm not a comic book person. So like I hear the story and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But then I'd be like, oh yeah, if you like Batman, go play it. Then like Batman diehards will play it, be like, that's fucking stupid. Bruce would never do that. That doesn't fit canon. So I don't. That's my disclaimer. I have no idea how it would fit into like a diehard DC universe, or I think Batman's DC. See, I don't even know that. So I can't comment from that. But I personally like the story, but the game is just a mess to play, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Episode 5, the finale of season 1, came out yesterday. I haven't had a chance to finish it. I said something on Twitter. I get a little annoyed. Tuesday and Fridays are the two big release days for video games. Tuesday is the one day a week in my entire life that I usually don't have time to play games. So it sucks because both the holiday event for Overwatch and this episode 5 came out yesterday, and I didn't even sit down at my computer at all. But
Yeah.
so I've been playing that. I just mentioned the other thing. I haven't really played it, but holiday update for Overwatch hit yesterday.
Yeah.
Surprising
I've
nobody,
jumped
but
back in after almost like I played it once, I think, in the last month, which is pretty impressive.
I've played a couple times. I started working on my season 3 placement matches. It's a fucking shit show. It's going horribly, just like season 2 did,
Yeah.
and it's frustrating because, well, the first one, I think it was my very it was my very first placement match. We watched Point in Gibraltar. They got the first checkpoint, and then we held them like underneath the spaceship thing.
Mhm.
But we were like exerting our will over them. I'm like, this is pretty good. We just have to get to this point. And then it was our turn on offense, and we started off really strong. We got the first point almost right away, and we just couldn't get it. Like, we were basically we were right there, but we just couldn't get it. And it ended in a draw. And I'm like, that sucks, but that was such a hard fight. That was a good match. That counts as a loss for your placement matches.
Yeah. Draws.
Yeah, that fucking pissed me off.
Draws are not wins.
It was a great team. We had a good team. They had a good team. It was an awesome match, and they're like, fuck you. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
just a defensive,
yeah.
duel.
So that pissed me off. And then my second match was one of those where there was 4 people on my team that would change characters every time they died. Nobody would get on the fucking points. Just a horrible, like throw anything that you have against the wall. Like it just sucked. It's like, okay, so now I'm in the hole 2-0. Then I won one, then lost another one with a pretty shit team. But it's all been like the draw was a good draw, and that pissed me off. It counts as a loss. And then the other 2 losses were just shit teams where it's like, again, I've talked about it a million times. I stream all the time, so you people can see I'm not trying to act like I'm esport professional Overwatch Steve over here.
God no.
But I feel like I'm
neither one of us
fairly competent at the game, and these teams have just been completely incompetent. Like,
I mean, yeah, you have to imagine that, like, people are probably picking up the game around the holidays and stuff. There's probably some sales for Black Friday, so there are probably plenty of people just sort of jumping in for the first time. I'm not doing my placement matches until I feel like I'm back to where I was, and that might not happen.
See, that's what's frustrating. I've been playing really good, and that one of my losses really sucked because I got stuck playing Reinhardt for most of it, and I had the highest damage and the most kills on my team. And I'm like, what the fuck? We had one healer, one tank, and everybody else was DPS, and I still out-damaged them as Reinhardt.
My brother was having a game like that last night.
Right.
Where everybody wanted a DPS.
And nobody could fucking do it. I'd be happy if you all want a DPS if you can fucking dish some damage. But
what I found interesting, he was telling me that, like, what's kind of becoming popular and like accepted is a 3-tank lineup, which a few months ago would have been like completely absurd to me.
Yeah, well, I'd seen that a couple times in season 2. That was one of the metas, but it was a very rare one, and it was really only seen when you have a team that plays together that coordinates.
Right.
But
yeah, I was playing some last night. It really, once you offer me like new costumes and shit, that's when you can get my attention again, for sure. Like, even if I'm not playing well. And now with the arcade mode, you can get a lot of loot boxes really fast.
I need to do that because that's what I got all pissed off. I've been saving my coin. I forget what they call currency in that. I'm just going to call them coins.
I think they're just coins.
Yeah, sure. So I've got like 2,300 coins, which is enough for 2 epic skins and some other stuff. But I've been specifically saving them because you'd have to be a complete moron to have played Overwatch since launch like we have and not know that a holiday event was coming. I mean, duh.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to spend them now and then have the holiday. I'm like, I'll be able to get 2. And then yesterday when the it started leaking, not really leaking, but it's coming out and we're getting what the skins are. And I'm like, fuck, there's like 3 or 4 that I want, but I have enough for 2. So I patched today right before the show and loaded up just to see them. Those assholes made them 3,000 a piece, so I don't have enough for 1, let alone for 2. So boxes are going to be my.
That's usually how the big legendary ones are. But I like a lot of the mid-range ones that are good.
Yeah,
like
McCree's I want.
Scrooge, yeah.
But the one that I really, really want is, and I don't even play him anymore, but the Zenyatta, the Nutcracker. That one's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Like, it's that and the McCree one are high on my list. I want the Santa Torbjorn, just so I can have a fucking Torbjorn.
The May one's good, but it's exactly what I mean. As soon as you're like, there's going to be a holiday event, May's a Freeze character, she hasn't had a special skin yet, it's going to be a Santa May, and it is. And I'm not disappointed by it. It's a good skin, but it's the least like surprising.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I kind of wish they went a little crazier with it. Like, I feel like there are a lot of characters you could do things like
there's
fucking
no
soldier.
Character.
There's no soldier in like a fucking shitty Christmas sweater. Like, that's easy.
That would have been sweet. I didn't even think of, and I was disappointed that there was no soldier skin for the winter event because I like soldier, and my gripe is his skins all suck.
They all suck. The Halloween one sucked. The
original legendary ones, it's like, here's like a low-res blurry like smear on his face because he's a soldier.
Yeah, it's
somebody hates Soldier at Overwatch, Soldier 76, because
I don't think they hate him. I think they're just fucking bafflingly uncreative. Like, about like, well, he's a soldier, so let's just make him wear camo and shit. And it's like, but he's like a space soldier who's wearing like a motorcycle jacket. You
See,
know,
and
like
that's the thing. Like, it'd
make
be one
something
thing if
happen.
like all these other characters, their legendary skins were still like just the same model with different paint jobs to them. But it's not. Like, I mean, look at Roadhog. He's one of my favorite characters, and his original legendaries are completely different from his base model. It's like here's a tiki one, here's a guy with a shark head, and it's
Yeah.
like Soldier's got a different face paint.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
yeah, they're very vanilla. Like fuck, Reaper they gave him a fucking pumpkin head. That's a target,
Right.
you
And
know,
I
but
will
it's
give them
awesome.
they do have the Stuntman 76, which is a different model, but I don't like it. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
fit him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like it because like it's either really generic soldier or it's that like cartoony. We made him look like
Evil Knievel.
the evil Knievel. That's okay. How about you make one that's cool? All
Right.
these other characters have ones that are cool. Um, or like make one that's like stupid in a way I can get on board with. Because Evil Knievel's also really
Well,
like, oh, we're gonna be generically
I
dumb with it.
yeah, I didn't
But
think about that would and it would be a barely different, but he's a crotchety old man soldier like I'm too old for this, and there's even the like get off my lawn like voiceover thing.
yeah,
So like put him in a even if it's not a Christmas sweater, put him in like a bad like sweater vest and like khakis. I'd be on board with
I
that.
no
Like,
fuck that Christmas sweater, but he still has the mask because like that completes the look.
but you
You
also
know,
have to have
I
like the
want
nursing home slippers.
I
Like,
want like 2016 Clint Eastwood at a shitty holiday party. Like that, I want that captured with him. And that was a great opportunity to do it. And like for some reason they can't get any skins to work with him.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I don't get it, but and he would be
I
the
played
easiest because he's like everybody else are these like weird shaped anthropomorphic things, and he's like, here's a guy,
right.
and like you said, it's like that in and of itself completely saps their creativity. They're like, well, he could be a
Look,
guy with
what do we do with a guy? You know,
we could part his hair differently.
it's
Yeah,
like, dude, fucking RoboCop him, do something.
anything,
Like,
right?
um, but I mostly just play mystery heroes and I'm like, fuck, I hate this game. It pisses me off so much. I thought I was gonna break my hand pounding my desk yesterday, but it's not so much I have expectations to win, especially after not playing for the better part of a month. Um, but it's like you're playing mystery heroes and instead of like people dealing with like it's a goofball fucking mode. Like you shouldn't there was a point where we had like two mercies and a Lucio and that's half our team, so you kind of deal with it. But like instead of actually playing and trying to win, like half my team was just bitching about the heroes we were getting. And it's like, then don't play the
Well, at
mode.
least they've evolved from when it initially came out and they were bitching about you picking the hero. Not you specifically, but
Yeah, right.
I'd had that happen. And I'd seen people on Twitter being like, the whole time people were bitching at me for picking the wrong hero. It's like,
It doesn't matter.
well, yeah, we're not picking anything here. That's the whole point of this mode.
Right.
But
Yeah.
whatever.
And then I played some of May's Snowball Fight, which
Yeah, I haven't
I,
checked that
I'm
out
having
either.
I'm having trouble deciding if it's the worst idea they've ever had or the best. Because it's insanely stupid. You're all May, and your gun just throws a single snowball, and you still have your like wall shield power and stuff, but your gun only throws a single snowball, and it's a one hit kill. So there's like this weird almost Counter-Strike tension to like, well, fuck, if I get seen, I'm pretty much toast. And
But
it's
like,
on the smaller map.
can you
So,
reload or like once you shoot your snowball, you're
well, once you throw the snowball, you have to go like there will be spots that appear across the map. These little piles of snow, and you have to go up and manually kind of reload your shot, and it fills up a bar, and like it's really tense, but it's also really stupid. And so like I won my first game of it last night, and that felt good. Especially when you're contributing, but it's elimination based, so it's 6-on-6. But once you're dead, you're out, and it's first to win 3 rounds, I think.
I may have to check this out.
it is pretty fucking. I'm pretty torn on it because part of me likes how tense it is. The other part of me is like, their fucking winter event is a goddamn snowball fight. Um, but
It fits.
it fits, but goddamn, like you feel the like kind of phoning it in. Like you could tell they just did a lot of fucking work with Sombra and all that shit, and they
Yeah,
really
like,
didn't
oh
want
shit,
to.
we
They
gotta.
really didn't want to do this. But it's cool, you know, and I really love this game, and it's cool to like after taking some time off to come back to it and mostly enjoy myself, but hate the community.
That's why
Um,
I almost said like after I found out I don't even have enough coins to buy one of those skins, so I have to hope I get them in loot boxes. And we've talked about my luck on those boxes are terrible, but I was tempted to go back to Twitter and be like, "Oh yeah, well fuck you, Overwatch. I'm done with you anyway." I'm like, but I'm not.
yeah, I'm never, yeah.
Yeah, but
I can't quit you, Overwatch.
I can try. I play a lot less than I was, but I still fire it up. I've played a little bit. And right now, I think I'm sitting at 2 wins and 3 losses on my placement matches. So it's not like I'm way out of it. I'm still like,
Well,
I flip that over your 50%, and that still puts you at least last season. That puts you up in like silver, but
yeah, and that's probably where you'll be. Like my brother was My brother was upset because he did better on his placement matches than a lot of streamers he watches, and he was beneath them.
It's weird.
Which seemed like bullshit to me because these weren't like pro streamers he was talking about. They were around our level. So I don't know how, like, I don't know what's at work, like how they decide like what your rank is if wins and losses are going to be subjective like that. Like,
well, the other things that it takes into account too are always behind the scenes. Like, well, what was the average rank or placement or how the other team that you were up against? And it's like, well, you also need to kind of, I would love for you to take into account the players on my fucking team because it's rarely, it's very rare that I play a match and just am like, wow, that other team was just good. It happens, but it's very rare. Most of the time it's just more like, wow, my team are the biggest idiots I've ever seen.
well, I'm wondering, like, you know, because I don't know all the information of like, how much do they take that into consideration? Like how much your team's producing versus you, in terms of like who are you killing people? Are you on the point?
Right.
And is it taking into consideration where you stood before?
Right.
You know, because it's always like that 10 placement games. Is that affecting like where you kind of ended the last season off, or like are they taking that into consideration? I have no fucking idea.
Well, that's
and
what
that might be part of the problem is nobody knows how they're judging it.
And it's good. Blizzard always did that with Heroes of the Storm as well, where they'll kind of give you an idea of how. And I forget what they call it now. There's the SR, but there's something else too that's kind of behind the scenes number that they use. They'll give you a little bit of a hint of how they calculate it, but they don't want people to know exactly how they're calculating it. And I get that because if we've learned anything, it's that gamers are obsessive and smart. And if they release their formula and say, this is how it works, people will find ways to exploit that. So I get why they want to keep it a little bit under wraps, but it's frustrating a lot of times as a gamer because you feel like I played really good. What am I being graded on? I feel like I should be ranked higher than this. Of course, it's always, I feel like I should be ranked higher than this, and I don't want to act like some of that isn't just us. We always feel like we're better than we are. But
yeah,
it is frustrating, so we'll see. But great game, and I'm looking forward to playing more to get some of these holiday boxes. Hopefully. That's the other thing too. Is my plan going in was I thought I had enough coin to buy some, and I do have enough. McCree, there was one other one that was I think Farah, the like Frostbite Farah is pretty cool because she like has like I don't know.
If I ever enjoyed playing Farah, then yeah. But
I'm getting more use out of her again because they buffed her in the last patch or 2 patches ago.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the most successful match I had last night was Symmetra. Those changes they made on her, like
are they
she
in
is
effect
way
now? Last time I played, they weren't in the.
Yeah, it took me forever to figure out how to do her second ultimate. when you have the option. But other than that, like you're like rapid fire placing turrets.
I like
And
that because one of my biggest gripes, it seems minor, but my biggest gripes with her was that her, like, Tesla gun, it's not, that's what Winston's is, but her beam was way too fucking short. And I know they didn't increase the length that much, but that's all they needed to do because there was so many times where visibly on the screen it looked like I should be in range of this person and I'm not hitting them. So
right.
that has to help.
That and surprisingly, her shield that she projects out,
Yeah.
like it's a pretty big shield, and like having it move in that way is kind of weird. But I also found it really effective, like because it's not a something that like enemies can focus to avoid because it's constantly moving. So you can fire that shit right and interrupt kind of their barrage and their push.
But it
So
also
that
makes
ability
it
is
so
pretty
there's not
cool.
one more camping shield because you already have Diva and Reinhardt.
Right. Right. It reloads reasonably fast for what it does. But yeah, I think the changes are pretty good. As far as playing as her, I'm sure the other team's like, fuck, she has too many turrets.
But
But
those turrets are great because they're not, in and of themselves, a single turret is nothing, but it does distract you. And then you get them
yeah,
grouped up and you have to deal with them. And the best way to use them, I love them from put them where the enemy's back is going to be. Because then they have to turn away from all the fighting in your team
yeah.
to deal with them. And so I've always thought the turrets were a cool mechanic. They were hard to utilize before. It sounds like
Well,
they're easier to use now.
yeah, and I think that's going to be the difference between a good Symmetra and a bad Symmetra, as opposed to how it kind of used to be, where it was like, there were like maybe, 10 fucking people on YouTube who were like, look how good I am with Symmetra. Now I think she's more of a plausible character because like now she has something to do, something to constantly manage,
Yeah.
which is like, those turrets. Because as quick as you're putting them up, enemies are going to be shooting them down. So
But
outside of like, your normal, throw up the shield and,
but you no longer
hit
shield
people when they're
individual
close.
teammates, right? That's what they replaced.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Your ultimate now can be a shield generator instead of a teleporter, which can be helpful in situations where a teleporter doesn't do you a lot of
Well,
good.
yeah, like we
Um,
talked about, like they specifically talked about in when they were talking about the patches. The problem with Symmetra a lot of times, especially on defense, the very first point she was extremely useful because if you get that
Pointer.
teleporter down, your team, even when the other team kills your teammates, they're almost instantly back in the fight, and that is invaluable. But then
Mhm.
once that first point was taken, I'm thinking of Hanamura or whatever, in particular, because it's the one it always came up on. Now you spawn on the point you're defending anyway. The teleporter is completely pointless. I would use it a couple times to put it in a. I liked putting it up in the corner in the balcony so that your team could come at the attacking team from a surprise angle, but that was a
Mhm.
very minor, like, I mean, you're really still not doing much. So if you
Yeah,
switch to your shield generator, that just helps you hold that point even more.
yeah,
So I like that. I get why they did that change. Now, what I would normally do, and this is one of the data points that they looked at that led to this, is instead you'd move to that second point. If they took the first point, you'd switch characters because there was no longer a point to be Symmetra. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it sounds cool. I was surprised. I thought as soon as season 3 started, they would have that in the public. I know it was in the test round. What do they call it? PTR, public test round. But I thought they'd have it like implemented in the main game. And last time I played in a ranked match, they didn't have those changes implemented yet. So that must have come in with the holiday update.
I must have because it was live when I played
Yeah.
yesterday. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think they're doing a pretty good job with Overwatch, making it fresh. To like constantly adding shit to it, tweaking stuff when they feel the need to, and even if I'm skeptical of some of the moves they made, cough cough, Junkrat. Um, most of the time it works out.
That one
So yeah,
even, I think what helped balance that out, and maybe they knew this all along, there was that brief period of like 2 weeks where Junkrats was way too frequent, but we knew they were going to bump everybody's
Do a massive
back again.
drop. Yeah.
And it seems fine now. I've actually been having a lot more fun playing at Junkrat. Last time we talked about Overwatch, we brought up Junkrat was one of the characters I played the most when I very first started playing Overwatch. And then as you start learning other more specialized characters, I got away from that. I had an awesome match on Watchpoint Gibraltar on defense as Junkrat, and he can be a lot of fun. So I'm back to it constantly changes, and it can be frustrating because we all like to find our characters that we like best. We all like to be comfortable and play the way we know how to play, and Blizzard never is going to let that just happen.
Yeah.
But that's good too, because it keeps the game in a state of you're never going to get a game like that perfectly balanced. So it's good that they're constantly readjusting everything. But the real reason they do it is because it's a big esport game now. They have big tournaments, and you can't, if you don't make changes, then by like your third big tournament, everybody's just playing the same. Like there's no interest to it anymore. But I don't know. I've always thought Blizzard was one of the better developers out there at multiplayer, like competitive gameplay, and like constantly. They don't just sit back and like, okay, our work here is done. They're constantly watching the data and measuring like the levels, the characters, people's play styles, people's habits, what characters are getting picked, what characters aren't, and then they'll react accordingly. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing the Lord's work over there at Blizzard.
And I say that not just as Overwatch. I've played a lot of Heroes of the Storm, not for a long, long time, but there was a period where I played a shitload of Heroes of the Storm. They were the same way there. I played a little bit, but not as nearly as much of Hearthstone, but it's the same way there. I was a little disappointed. One of the cool things with having that, I think we talked about it before we started streaming, but my wife got me a Kindle HD tablet for Christmas. And one of the things that I was most excited about is like, oh, this will be perfect for Hearthstone now that it's on, because they have it for mobile devices. But I feel like on a phone, that screen would be way too small for a card-based, game like that. So I downloaded Hearthstone to get back into that, and I don't know why, but all of my prior unlocks, all my cards and stuff that I had are gone. But it's the same account, like it's still recognized. I even have the Heroes of the Storm card back because it knows that I played that as well. So I don't know if maybe it might have been so long ago that I was still playing the beta, so maybe things got reset when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the same way. I mean, it's a very well-balanced multiplayer game, and it's fun. And that one's completely free to play. I mean, you can buy cards, but out of all of them, at least as the last time I played, that was the one that was the least frustrating about getting new things.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we got to wrap this show up. I have to go do some chores, some errands. So
Aaron? Who's Aaron?
Aaron's Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's one man. His name's Aaron's.
I see.
So
yeah, that's cool because I'm losing my voice. But
yeah, there's a million people now who don't even know our show, but just saying good.
Good.
Keep it.
Thank God.
Keep it going. But we won't. We'll be back.
We should have a show next week. I think we like to discuss these like inner workings on air.
Should be good to go.
And that'll be our holiday episode. We need to start talking about like the end of the year stuff. So
yes, we do. Looking forward to that. I just realized like how big the list of games I've fucking played this year is, and it's impossible to make sense of. But yeah, we will hit on those subjects and more next week on the show. Bye.
So if you're a troll that wishes for us to address you, please join us, but we're not going to.